She was called a prop. Then she crushed the host on live TV, line by line. What happened next had even her haters clapping. It was a cold March evening in 2025. Inside the towering glass walls of CNN studios in New York, there was tension in the air so sharp it could cut. The cameras were ready, lights warm, humming above. Every seat in the studio had been taken by a hand-picked, progressive audience, chosen carefully for tonight's big moment. CNN had pulled off a rare booking, a live, unfiltered interview with Melania Trump. The former First Lady, often silent in public, had kept out of the spotlight for years. Now she was back, poised, elusive, calm as stone. And across from her sat Donna Kessler, CNN's rising liberal icon. Known for her sharp tongue, fast comebacks, and habit of turning interviews into viral takedowns. To her fans, Donna was the truth-teller. To her critics, a performer with a grudge. Tonight she smelled blood. Melania sat tall in a pale cream suit, her face unreadable. Donna smirked, flipping through her notes, each question loaded like a bullet. The crew stood still, waiting for the first shot. Viewers at home were already buzzing. Everyone expected a bloodbath. But no one, not even Donna Kessler, saw what was really coming. The cameras rolled. The red light blinked on. Donna Kessler leaned forward in her chair, her voice smooth but sharp. She gave a polite smile that did not reach her eyes. "Mrs. Trump?" she began, drawing out the name just enough to sound forced. "It has been quite a while since we last saw you in the spotlight. Some say you have been hiding. Others think you are here only to play the loyal wife now that your husband is back in power. What is the truth?" The audience chuckled softly. A few exchanged glances. The jab was not loud, but it hit. Donna tilted her head, pleased with herself. She waited, expecting hesitation, a pause, a stumble. But none came. Melania sat still, her posture straight, hands folded lightly in her lap. She looked at Donna, not with anger, but with something colder. Measured, her accent wrapped around each word with care. "Donna," she said, her voice calm. "I do not hide. I choose when to step forward." She let the silence stretch for a second. "You see absence as weakness, but I see it as strength. Knowing when silence speaks louder than noise." The room shifted. A few gasps broke the air. The chuckles stopped. Even Donna blinked, caught off guard by how quickly control had slipped from her hands. Melania smiled faintly. "Perhaps you should try it sometime." And just like that, the tone of the interview had changed. Donna adjusted her notes, her tone growing sharper. The smile was gone now. "Let us talk about your husband's new administration," she said. "He is surrounding himself with the same names: Elon Musk, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi. Critics are calling it a circus of cronies, a group of loyalists who answer only to him. How do you explain that to the American people?" The question dropped heavy into the room. Some in the audience nodded. Others leaned in, waiting to see how Melania would spin it. But she did not blink. She crossed one leg over the other, slow and deliberate. Her voice stayed level, but her words cut. "Loyalty is not a flaw, Donna. It is a foundation," she said. "Elon Musk sends rockets into space while your people argue about parking spaces. Kash Patel stood up for truth when others hid under desks. Pam Bondi fought for justice, not headlines." She paused, not to think, but to let it settle. "You call it a circus because they do not dance to your tune. But maybe," she said, leaning in just slightly, "your tune is out of key." A few in the audience gasped. One man in the back let out a quiet laugh before covering his mouth. The energy had shifted again. Donna's lips tightened, her fingers pressed against the armrest. This was not how it was supposed to go. The woman across from her was not cracking, she was rising. Melania's eyes stayed locked on her, calm, focused. "You call them cronies. I call them people with courage. People who do not break just because your headlines tell them to." The crowd stayed silent, then a few claps, then more. And for the first time, Donna Kessler looked unsure. Her voice had started strong. But now, it was Melania's words echoing in the studio. Donna leaned in, her voice rising, her words sharper now. The edge was no longer hidden. "That is a nice spin," she said. "But let us be real. Your husband's presidency was chaos, legal battles, scandals, constant division, and through it all, you stood there, silent. People wonder, Were you just a prop in his story? Or do you actually believe in all of this? This spectacle? A low murmur moved through the audience. It was a clear shot, a personal one. Donna smiled slightly, thinking she had landed it. Melania did not move. Her hands stayed in her lap. She looked at Donna, calm and focused, but her voice carried a weight that silenced the room. I have faced storms you could not imagine, she said. Headlines twisting my words, crowds shouting my name in hate, cameras waiting for every step I take. She leaned forward, just enough to meet Donna's gaze. I stood by my husband not because I was told to, but because I know who he is, not what you say he is. Her tone never rose, but every word felt sharper than the last. A prop? No. I am a partner. She let the pause stretch. You think strength is shouting on a screen, she said slowly. I think strength is standing tall, when the world wants you to fall. The studio fell quiet for a second, then the reaction hit like a wave. Gasps, claps, a few stood up. Laughter and applause mixed in the air. Donna blinked, her mouth open but nothing came out. She looked at her notes, then back at Melania, unsure how to recover. Melania leaned back in her seat, her face calm again. And in that moment it was clear, the power in the room had shifted. Completely. Donna cleared her throat, her voice tighter now. Her confidence had cracked, but she pushed ahead anyway. Desperation started to show, hidden behind a forced smile. Let us shift gears, she said quickly. You have always been the quiet one, Mrs. Trump. Fashion shows, garden tours, posing for photos. Some say you are just a pretty face with no real substance. After years of silence, why should anyone take you seriously now? The insult was not subtle. It was loud, sharp, and personal. The audience held their breath. Even the cameraman glanced up from his viewfinder. Melania sat still for a moment, her eyes locked onto Donna's, unblinking. Then, with a quiet inhale, she straightened her back. Her voice was calm, but the strength in it was impossible to miss. A pretty face, she said slowly, is what you see. That is fine, but it is not all there is. She paused. I have built a life across continents. I have raised a son while cameras watched our every move. I have faced lies printed on front pages. I have smiled through crowds screaming things you would never repeat on this stage. She leaned forward, her gaze still firm. I speak when it matters, not to fill time, not to chase clicks, but because I have something to say. The room stayed silent, waiting. You call silence a weakness, because you are afraid of what it hides, but I am not afraid. I have lived in silence, I have learned from it, and I have turned it into power. Her tone never wavered. I am not here to prove anything to you, Donna. I am here because I chose to be. She sat back, her expression unchanged. The studio erupted. Applause thundered through the room. Some people stood. Others clapped with wide eyes, stunned by what they had just heard. Donna opened her mouth to respond, but the words would not come. She looked down, then to her producer, who was already speaking into her earpiece, trying to save the moment. But it was too late. The audience had chosen a side, and Melania had just delivered her strongest blow, not by shouting, but by standing taller than ever. Donna sat frozen, her mouth opened slightly, then closed again. No words came. Her fingers clutched her cards, now useless in her hands. She blinked at the cameras, then turned toward the crew. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. We will take a short break. The moment she said it, the control room burst into chaos. Producers shouted over one another, trying to figure out how to clean up what had just happened. Someone cursed. Someone else said, "Cut to commercial." Donna pulled off her mic, shaking her head, already muttering about how unfair it all was. But the internet had already seen it. Clips of Melania's comebacks flooded X. Within minutes, the hashtag Melania Masterclass was trending worldwide. One clip alone passed 2 million views before the show even returned from break. Some called it a demolition. Others said it was a rare moment of quiet power overwhelming noise. News headlines followed fast. Melania stuns live on CNN. Grace under fire. Kessler outmatched in real time. Inside the studio, the mood had flipped. The crowd that had once smiled at Donna's jabs now looked toward Melania with something closer to respect. She stood from her chair without a word, nodded politely to the crew, and walked off set as calm as she had arrived. No celebration. No speech. Just quiet confidence. Donna stayed behind, silent, defeated. Her grip on the moment, gone. And as Melania left the building, phones continued to buzz, videos continued to spread, and one message echoed louder than the rest. Never underestimate her again. If Melania's comebacks gave you chills, smash that like button right now. Her calm, her timing, that final line, it was a masterclass in how to take control without raising your voice. Now it is your turn. Drop a comment and tell us, which line hit you the hardest? Was it when she said silence speaks louder than noise? Or when she looked that host in the eyes and said, I am not a prop, I am a partner. We are reading every comment, and trust me, the best ones might even get featured in the next video. And if you think that was powerful, you have no idea what is coming next. More moments, more showdowns, more stories that leave no doubt who truly owns the room. So hit subscribe, and do not miss what happens when silence turns into strength. This was just the beginning.